This is a Healthier Michigan podcast, episode 119. With the holiday season now upon us, we're hanging out with Tony Michaels from the Parade Company to play some trivia and learn more about what goes into Detroit's very own America's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Welcome to a Healthier Michigan podcast, the podcast dedicated to navigating how we can improve our health and well-being through small, healthy habits we can start right now. I'm your host, Chuck Gatica. Normally, every other week, we sit down with a certified expert to discuss topics like nutrition, fitness, and a whole lot more. But we're going to work that into today's episode with a real expert on America's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This is kind of a themed trivia episode. We're giving you an inside scoop into what goes on behind the scenes of one of Detroit's most iconic annual events. So with us today is the president and CEO of the Parade Company, Tony Michaels. It is great to see you.
It's great to be here.
Yeah,
really
always
is.
good to see you. That was an annual hug I looked forward to every year. So this was my first time in years.
I'll tell you, we miss you. I mean, you were the Woodward Avenue guy.
Oh, that's what kept me awake and warm. So this is the 96th year of America's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and in celebration, we want to do a little parade trivia, maybe get some anecdotal stories from you too, because I know you have been part of this for how many years now?
Well, I've been the president and CEO for 13, but a sponsor and a board member for many, many prior to that. So, I've got great parade roots. Is that a good way to? Yeah,
I got it.
It's in my DNA.
Well, that's good though, because you are the energy behind taking this to different levels, which I watched with my very own eyes over the course of time. So what we want to do too is maybe pull back the curtain, not so much on the Wizard of Oz, but to really talk a little bit about some of the things that come up in the parade. When you look back, what would you consider some of the great achievements in the bar being set high for this parade?
Well, I think first and foremost, we had to improve everything. And this was going back to 2009.
Yeah.
Everything needed to be improved. And the staff itself was, I don't want to say downtrodden, but there wasn't a lot of money at the Parade Company. And we needed to fix everything, because if you fix it and make it great sponsors and partners like Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and so many others realize that this is a place to partner up with. And I can proudly say that the team caught on, and we've improved so much. And right now we're on a little bit of a good roll, and we're never done improving everything. And as you know, Chuck, we've got to make it great. We look at the parade as being owned by the people of Detroit, our region and our state, and we have to deliver a great product. So that was first and foremost, and the rest follows. Sponsorship right now is doing really well.
Good.
We're not arrogant about it. We're not cocky. We over-deliver. We have to do all the right things all the time to make this great for people.
And it's very easy to use the word iconic, but it really is one of those things that becomes tradition, because we've just come through this season of where traditions kind of went away. You couldn't hug, you can't shake, you can't kiss, you had to social distance. And when you're able to be part of something that brings tradition back to your life, I think that's a calming effect on people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you mentioned all of that, and that's why we couldn't go away. So we figured out in 2020 how to do it. 2021, we were back on Woodward. Our group persevered. But here's the other key. Sponsors did not go south. They stayed with us the whole way. And people thanked us for being there during those times when you couldn't hug and couldn't have family over and couldn't do all those things the last couple of years. So we're pretty proud of that, but now it's time to motor up again, and here we go. I mean, we've got 9 brand new floats this year. It's a record. Another 15, which have been in for a year or two. It's just going to be a great, great year. It really is.
And having been to the Parade Company, watching them come from kids' ideas spilling out to paper and then winding up in a float all those years, it is like being a kid in a candy store. And I'm talking about as a big kid. I don't mean just the little kids. We know that's going to be a gee whiz factor. But adults alike, because we've grown up. I got here in '82, and I still consider this home. And I consider that I grew up watching America's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yeah, is there anything better on Thanksgiving? And if you're not down on Woodward with 7, 8 900,000 people that
Sure.
morning. You're watching on WDIV with a 21 rating and a 45 share.
Sure.
It's crazy. It really is, but it's the fabric of our city, region, and the state. It really is.
This has also been it's kind of like me looking at the Emmys or something, going around on a pinwheel, and we'll come back to that word in
Pinwheel,
just a minute.
pinwheel.
But we'll come back to that. But it really is this thing that's award-winning, and there was a time, and I saw it happen, where we were always nationally paid attention to. We were part of the national coverage. But then the name changed to America's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I know you've won, is it 2 years in a row now? You've got an award?
Yeah, USA Today, we were voted #1 parade, holiday parade in America.
Yeah.
Of course, the last couple of years were a little different.
Yeah.
We're going to get that back, aren't we? We're going
Sure.
to get people voting and get USA. We're going to win that award, we hope. Yeah, it's a big deal. I will tell you, just on Thanksgiving morning alone, I will get over 320 texts from not only people in our market, but from across America saying, I'm watching the parade because we're syndicated now in 185 cities across America. And people say, how nice, I feel like I'm back home on this great holiday. That is a charge.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, it really is.
You know, one of the cool things for me, and there's so many of them over the years, a lot of years, like 25 years, was I could say way before Will Ferrell, about Santa Claus, I know him because I got to hang out with Santa. Giving the key to the mayor to handle was fine, but being around Santa and seeing the looks on kids' faces as that parade winds down every year on Woodward is just a blessing.
It's incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
And yeah, you handled the key. I mean, you didn't take one of those keys, did you?
I never took a key. No, but there was security with the mayor. I couldn't do much of anything, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure you didn't walk away with the key. But here's the other part: is that morning starts with the S3 Turkey Trot.
That's right.
And you talk about health and Blue
Yeah.
Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. People out there running 5 and 10K, 15,000 strong. That's a big deal.
Sure.
Being able to run down Woodward with all of those people lining Woodward, and us getting the race off the street in time when the floats start coming down. Yeah, the timing's great, but it's the health factors there.
Sure.
So many people say they ran the S3 Turkey Trot and then they watched the parade and then they went to the Lion game. Is that the trifecta of all time?
Yeah. And then there's a little turkey thrown in there, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Little
going to have a
bit.
great meal. But
Absolutely.
that's also one of the most fun, the turkey trot, one of the most fun races to watch because you've got people dressed up in Thanksgiving outfits, you've got people in tutus, you've got people running in, Santa outfits. It is a ball to just watch it.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we have the Mashed Potato Mile. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan helps sponsor, different things with the S3 Turkey Trot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We have great people in our lives, I have to tell you, Chuck.
So let's talk, you want to talk a little trivia?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so
Wait, what year were you born?
I was born in 1958.
Okay, so you'll know everything from 1924.
Yeah, no, I don't quite know that, but I do have some questions, so we'll riff on these, and then if you want to throw in some other info, because I think that's the beauty of us being able to get together, because you've forgotten more than most people know about the parade. I mean, you know all this stuff. All right, so let's see. What year did the parade first roll down Woodward Avenue?
Okay,
Interesting.
The math is not going to make sense.
Okay.
Because we say it's the 96th parade. In 1924 was the very first parade, but there was World War II. So there were a couple of years taken off there. So 1924 came down, and it came down, I believe, Cass, and then over to Woodward. It was kind of a funny little path there, yeah.
And today, that has to still be one of the few times that the trains, that everything gets shut down on Woodward Avenue, right?
Yeah.
If not the only time.
In fact, we cannot thank the Q Line people enough, Matt Cullen and the whole group there,
Yeah.
because they're going to shut it down on Wednesdays. We have so many floats, and they're 120 feet long. We have to double stack them on Woodward
Wow.
down at the DIA on Wednesday. And if the Q Line was running, we don't know what we would do, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
So thanks to them. And it's, these floats are big. 120 feet is really big. And the Q Line, thank you, Q Line people.
So there was another major city that started a Thanksgiving Day parade that same year in 1924.
New York City.
Is it?
New York City,
Yeah.
absolutely. Exactly.
Was it always brought to you by Macy's? Do you know?
I don't know the very
Yeah.
beginning if it was called the Macy's Day Parade or not.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to know that, aren't I?
No, you don't have to know it. You just need to know about Detroit.
Yes,
That's all. I was
yes,
just
yes.
curious because that's
Yes.
kind of one of those names that got associated with it.
Right.
But now that and for years, it's not just now, you've got this network nationwide.
Yeah.
Well, America's Thanksgiving Day Parade has got to be
Right.
the one.
Right.
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 Okay, so what year was the parade first broadcast on radio? Interesting.
WWJ Radio, one of the very first signals in our nation,
yeah.
1931.
Wow.
1931. Yeah, and people laugh. They go, radio. Well, there's visuals. It's a big event. We still do it today with WOMC.
Yeah.
It's on
Yeah.
radio. Paul W. does his morning show, prior to that on radio. It's great.
Well, when you think about it, you can listen to a game. We listen to the football. We're out running errands. We're listening to a game, and somebody's doing play-by-play. So there is something that's different than watching it on television,
Right.
obviously. But if you've got the right people doing it,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No question.
And then
No
when
question.
did it start getting picked up by television?
1959 on WWJ and WXYZ. 1959. So that makes you a year old.
Yeah, right.
You remember watching.
And I wasn't here. I was in Chicago.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a long time ago, and boy, it's come a long way. The broadcast today, as you know, and you were such a part of it.
Oh, thanks.
It is fabulous. It really is. What a team at WDIV.
So if we've looked at this idea of America's Thanksgiving Parade, it's interesting to me that in the day, WWJ was also the call letters of a TV station. So
Yes.
it wound up being split, right, between
Yes.
two different entities. And
Yes.
I was just at the Historical Society. I'm not sure, I'm going by memory, if I've seen the pictures there or in a book of the old-fashioned cameras up on the back of what looked like pickup trucks back in the 50s.
Oh, yeah.
You
The
know.
shots are amazing.
And we're
aren't
not
they?
talking live at the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're just talking somebody's capturing film and running it back somewhere.
Yeah. Crazy.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Pretty
Yeah.
neat. But the footage is so cool.
Oh,
it really
yeah.
is.
So who founded America's Thanksgiving Day Parade?
J.L. Hudson's.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and Joe Hudson, who just passed away just recently. Yeah, boy, they had their heart and soul. Their
Yeah.
heart and soul into the parade. And do you know, little fun fact, can I throw one out?
Sure, please.
Drum roll. Doing the drum. There you go. In order to walk in the parade, you had to work at Hudson's at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was an exciting moment for the people at Hudson's.
I'll
I mean,
bet.
they got to be in the parade. And much like today, like the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan float, we will have people from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan walking with their float. So you've got 23, 24 floats, and you have people from each of those various companies in costume walking with all those parades. So we kind of kept that tradition going.
Well, is that where the Distinguished Clown Corps sort of came from, or was that always a separate entity? Because you'll see people along, even the balloon handlers, right? That's quite an honor to be able to say, I'm carrying this part of the balloon.
Oh, yeah, it really is. And there's a balloon school to learn how to do it.
Interesting.
Crazy. But the Distinguished Clowns were started back. Tom Adams, one of
Okay.
the names from the past. They had this idea to help out the parade financially.
Yeah.
So you would be a distinguished clown, pay $1,000 or $2,000 back then, and the parade company makes your costume. We still do it today. It's $1,000 a clown. We have 180 clowns, if not 200 some years.
Wow.
And you keep that same costume for 4 years. Then you get upgraded and you get a zipper. And then you get a cape, and you keep moving up every 4 to 5 years, and everybody pays that $1,000 a year. Your president and CEO, Dan Lepp, is now an unruffled clown, I believe we call it, which means he doesn't participate as a clown that year, but he pays the $1,000, and he's
Yeah.
a ruffled clown. I'm
So
sorry.
it's kind of like Clown Emeritus.
Yes,
right?
clown emeritus. Yes, and we thank Dan and so many. My wife is in her 11th year.
Wow.
Yeah, as a clown. So
But you
it's-
know what's so cool about that is that people on the parade route may never know. I didn't know until I got a tap on my shoulder, and I would have to do a double take. What titan of industry? I mean, what person was there to say good morning or put some beads on my neck. And they were people who it took me a minute to recognize them. And I was seeing these people a lot, even on camera.
Oh, yeah.
And so you don't recognize how many big shooters are out on Thanksgiving morning.
Yeah, and if I start naming them,
I know, I know.
I did mention Dan, but Dan's not marching anymore, but he's there for us. But Sid Ross, Matt Cullen, I mean, the
Right.
list just goes on and on. There's so many people. Yeah, it's quite a family. It really is.
So we look at the parade route. I know it's changed even in recent years, but if we start to tally up miles, is there an average length of the parade route that you can talk about?
Yeah, it's just under 3 miles, about 2.7.
Yeah.
We start the DIA and we go past Campus Martius.
Okay.
And then we literally break everything down up at Congress and Larned, and all those floats start coming back home to the parade company on Mount Elliott. It's quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
And it's a long walk. You think about the people with the big heads. How about those? You've got all the cartoon characters and the big heads of Detroit. They've got that thing up on their shoulders for close to 3 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an undertaking.
Well, and I've seen the wind. There are mornings where there's been snow, so there's a kind of that iconic snow globe look, like we
Right.
shook up Detroit a little bit, and there's a little light snow.
Yeah.
I've seen the wind cause, Chilly Willie decided to become Canadian one year.
Yes, he did. He flew over the river.
That's right. And Chilly Willie was found, we should point out, right, in some
Yes, he
cornfield
was.
or something.
Yes.
But there have been those years where I've seen those folks trying to navigate the balloons or the big heads,
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
quite a feat.
Yeah, we can get the balloons down Woodward below 25 miles an hour in wind. When it gets over 25, we've got some big decisions to
Oh,
make.
interesting.
Also, if there's rain,
Yeah.
the big heads cannot go down Woodward because they're paper mache.
Right.
And last year, the saddest call I ever made when the rain was coming down was no big heads. So all those great people who
Yeah.
paid the $250 to be a big head, they went down Woodward together without the big head on and had a blast.
Oh,
and we
that's
can't
good.
thank them enough.
So 3 miles of a parade route, any idea how many calories I would burn or you would burn if we did the route just one time?
Probably over 300, I would
Wow.
think. Yeah. I'm out of my wheelhouse. I'm taking a guess.
No, but you've done it. How many years?
Yeah. I think it's right around there.
When
yeah.
the parade happens and you know that your team has got everything in place, you've staged the night before, it looks like we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself staying in one place or do you get antsy? You got to go somewhere.
Well, I can tell you this. Wednesday, I keep getting calls. Okay, we've got these floats in place. So I run down there. I go down Wednesday late at night because I just want to make sure that everything is good. All the guys are good. I always take a million bowls of soup for all our great artists who are there fixing things that might have gotten damaged on the way down. So I'm the soup man. And I meet with security. We make sure everything's good and there's enough security around all those floats. And then I try to get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, the next day is so big and the anxiety is pretty brutal, but it's all good.
But you are the biggest kid in the candy store then, right? I mean, you're able to see every single widget and nut and bolt and everything.
Yeah. And then the parade itself, early in the morning, I'm zipping all around.
Yeah.
I go say hello to the S3 Turkey Trot team that's getting that off at 7:30. I do stop in to roll call with the Detroit Police to thank them. Amazing what they do, with us and for the city of Detroit. And to go in there and all those officers during roll call and just saying, thank you. I mean, it's something I have to do every year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then after all the interviews and everything, I settle into the TV zone. And I've got my texting going. I'm not a walkie-talkie guy.
Yeah.
There's too much noise going on the walkie-talkie with the whole team. So I'm a texter. And everything comes through on time and in a wonderful way. And we're good to go. We've had one big event a few years back, if you could recall. Nolan Finley, our dear friend, told me, I want to drive a float. I said, okay. The float stalled. He got blamed for driving the float into the crowd. He did not. It stalled, and some of our volunteers, great people, rolled it off of Woodward, but it happened to jump over the curb a little bit. But all good, all good. One person was slightly injured, but we're all good. Nolan, to this day, said, I cannot believe that happened. I said, relax, we're all good.
Yeah.
But those are little tidbits about the parade through the years.
Well, yeah. And then Larned in Congress, the balloons duck, right?
Yes.
Come under the people mover, and you start making the turn to take them all back.
Oh, yeah.
When does the actual planning begin next year?
The next Monday.
Does it really?
We literally meet on that Monday because this is such a massive undertaking. And don't forget, we also do the Ford fireworks. We do Hobnobble Gobble presented by Ford. We do the S3 Turkey Trot and America's Thanksgiving Parade presented by Gardner White. It's a lot. We start that Monday, and then Tuesday is everyone stay out of here, and then come and go as you please that week, and then we're back and running.
Wow.
We're back. I mean, yeah, you have to be. You've got to get everything cranked back up again because it's such a massive
And I know you get
undertaking.
touches from across America from other people who are looking to do any number of things. They just want a piece of styrofoam sculpture for
Yeah.
something they're doing, and you guys are the experts.
Yeah, for the Indy 500 festival, we did 3 of their floats.
Did you?
Yeah, we did. It was
Yeah.
great. They were smaller, but it was wonderful. You know, there's a surprise coming on the Blue Cross float this year. Did
There
you
is?
know that? There is.
Ah.
Have you seen the pinwheel?
I've not seen it yet.
The pinwheel's great. We built the pinwheel. Kenny Hayward called and said, "Can you guys make a pinwheel?" And I said, "No." I said, "Of course." I said, "Yes." And I know that that's in support of the Children's Trust, right?
Yeah.
With neglected and battered children and so on.
Yeah.
And Dan got behind it in such a big way, and Blue Cross did. And so we're so proud to have that pinwheel up on that awesome Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan float.
And still some Blue Cross folks walking with it?
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
which is so neat. It really is.
So in total, when you look at all the floats, do you consider entries like the bands and all that, or do you count floats? Like
There's 63 entries total.
Yeah.
23, 24 floats, bands, all kinds of things happening. Yeah, it's a big deal. And we're limited because, look, it's a 2-hour show.
Sure.
You know this very
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Everything is timed to the second. There's commercial breaks. We have to hold the parade right at Grand River.
Right.
And then we get the green light, start moving it as they're coming out of commercial break. The people live there might complain sometimes because it kind of stopped for 2 minutes.
Right.
But you got to pay the bills. You got to pay the bills. And WDIV does such an amazing job. It's all timed out right to the second.
You mentioned the artists who may come up and touch up a little place where maybe
Yeah.
the corner got nicked, but you've also got mechanical issues. You've got moving parts on the floats as well as a drivable chassis underneath.
Yes. Well,
What about maintenance?
We did one good thing. I eliminated the drivable chassis underneath.
Okay.
I just felt the time had come for safety, and it's hard to find float drivers who want to get underneath and get
Gotcha.
under that. And
Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted safety. I wanted people to want to do this.
Yeah.
And it's worked out great. So we have one left. Santa Claus is driven in underneath.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
But that's the iconic with the spiral staircase and the whole
yeah,
thing, right?
yeah. That's a toughie. It's a toughie.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And then the rest, yeah, we have animation, music coming out. I'd be a liar to say that we didn't have a problem here and there with
Yeah.
a certain float. You know, especially in the rain, we had a tough year last year. Some of the music didn't want to blurt out and so on, but we're all over it. We're on top of it, and those guys are up and now Woodward, those guys and gals, and they're ready to rock and fix anything we need to fix. This year, you're going to see some new touches. You're going to see more video screens than you've ever seen before on floats. Really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we've gotten to the point in the world where you can get these LED screens to do all kinds of stuff. And so is that cool? Because
You're gonna
that's
see
artistic
stuff.
design all by itself, right?
Yeah, you're gonna see some
Wow.
things. We don't want to go too high tech. You know, this is grassroots. But I just thought a touch here and there is going to be something, a real wow factor. And if we keep bringing the wow factor, we keep this thing relevant every year. Innovative, relevant.
So when you look at your future with the parade company, you've been doing this so long that, and not that you're at the age where you need to think about giving this up, but I mean, do you ever look at your job as anything but a blessing? Because you're involved in so many different iconic things that I know there's pressure and all that, but
Yeah.
wow, I think of parade, I think of Tony Michaels.
Well, thank you. It's such a great team. It really is. And
Yeah.
I honestly, I think that it's such a, and you know, when I was offered this before, my kids actually talked me into it, and they said,
Did they?
Yeah, they said, Dad, you know, you can make a difference in Detroit for a bunch of people if you make this better and great. And I sat back, and my wife said, yeah. And, you know, so that's how it really all came about. Of course, I had to be offered the job first, but
Sure.
I was. And, yeah, you know, you're able to make a difference. And when you see the kids' faces, as you know better than anybody, it is magical that morning because those kids are able to see celebrities, floats,
Yeah.
just bands. For some of them, this could be the one time in a year, the one time. For others, might be able to do more and so on. It's one of those great moments. But as I said earlier, it's our job to make it bigger, better, and bolder, and just more lovable every year.
Well, I think you've done such a super job with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing this year. And the Grand Marshals, that's always a joy to see somebody who's come in from across the nation to be part of the parade. And
Jalen Rose.
wow.
Jalen Rose. I can tell you now, yes, Jalen Rose is our Grand Marshal, along with co-Grand Marshal Reverend Wendell Anthony.
Oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, so it should be really, really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you.
It was great to see you.
And I'll be looking for you there in the crowd by Broadcast Row, which is always the spot that I would see you there.
I'm the bald head.
Tony Michaels, President and CEO of the Parade Company, thanks for the insights. That was fun.
Well, thank you for having me. This is great.
Sure thing. Hey, we're glad you were listening to a Healthier Michigan podcast. It's brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. If you like the show, you want to know more, please check out all of our old episodes, new episodes. We're heading toward a new year as well. It's at ahealthiermichigan.org/podcast. You can leave us a review or rating on Apple Podcast or Spotify. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and get the new episodes you like. Take them with you on your walks, when you're going out to work off the turkey. Smartphone, tablet, whatever it is, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. On behalf of Tony, the Parade Company, have a happy and a healthy Thanksgiving.